Chapter 27. Returning upstairs to their room following breakfast, Warble says into the phone, "I recollect you used to pick the git fiddle fairly tolerable, Early Bird." Mary is reading an article in Better Homes and Gardens about begonias when Warble begins talking to his old friend. Early Bird Fortitude is another of Warble's old merchant marine buddies. Early Bird had been a cook on the ship and most evenings entertained the crew with his singing and guitar playing. "I've got a great idea, Early, my boy," Warble continues, gesturing wildly as he acts out his enthusiasm for and confidence in his music plans. "Come on down here to St. Augustine if you want to get in on the ground floor. The slots are going fast. I've already got a bass player, drummer, and another guitar player, but you can play lead if you want. And I'm going to be the accordionist. All we need is an Oompa Loompa and we're set." "No, an Oompa Loompa. You know, a tuba player." "Yes, yeah. Fine, I'll see you then." Warble hangs up the phone and lets out a whoop. "We're destined for stardom for sure now, Mary. We're bound for glory. The best guitarist in the Western Hemisphere is on his way to join us." Mary looks up from her magazine. "You already have a bass player, drummer, and guitarist? Who?" Well, I don't yet, but all I've got to do is cruise around town and find some skaters. They're bound to know some punk musicians." And so it happens just as Warble had said, much to Mary's chagrin. Warble pulls up to a group of teenagers on skateboards and asks them if they know any punk musicians. Sure enough, they do. Themselves. The three young men are NFN, no first name, Cat Atomic, a drummer, Kamikaze, a bass player, and Plaster O'Paris, a guitarist. Warble tells the teenagers about his plans for the band, and they are, to put it mildly, quite enthused with the idea. At any rate, they're willing to give it a shot. All they need now is a tuba player, or an Oompa Loompa, as Warble calls it. After searching in vain at the local musicians' union hall, Warble despairs of seeing his dream come to fruition. He sits on the sidewalk and mopes. For the want of an Oompa Loompa, the band wasn't formed. For the want of the band formation, fame and fortune weren't won. For the lack of fame and fortune, my ingenious inventions were not secured. For lack of procurement of same and such, they were purloined, I was maligned, and poor, pitiful me will wind up in the poorhouse, sleeping in a flophouse. Warble whines to Mary. "Oh, Warble, snap out of it. Something's bound to turn up. Besides, being a musician isn't the only thing in the world." "That's easy for you to say, Mary. I had my heart set on it," Warble sighs, and with his elbow on his knees, puts his head in his hands. Within a few seconds, though, a somewhat portly, or shall we say pleasantly plump, what the heck, a guy fatter than Dallas, sees Warble and approaches him. "Say, mister, why so blue?" "I don't have an Oompa Loompa to round out my polka punk band," Warble says flatly, without even looking up at the young man. The fatter-than-Dallas fellow's eyes light up, and he practically screams, "Gee whiz, mister! I play the tuba myself. Quite well, if I may say so, without seeming overly egotistical and conceited. And I'd just love to join your band." "You do? And you would?" Warble says, jumping up and grasping the fat teen's outstretched hand. "Hot diggity dog, we're back in business, Mary." "Say, kid, what's your name anyway?" Warble asks. "Plumpo Tiddlywink." Warble is lost in thought for a few seconds. As he remembers where he heard that name before, he juts his right index finger into the air. Not the same Plumpo Tiddlywink that was married to Burt Reynolds' ex-wife's third cousin, twice removed hairdresser's neighbor. "No, sorry," the obese youth responds, shaking his head. "That was a different Plumpo Tiddlywink. No relation."